So I still have my photo that I was working on last time. And if I go back to my radial adjustment and click this, we can see that part of what was edited is the sky above this hill. So it might be easier if I turn this off so you can see that. See this part of this sky? Let me zoom in just a little bit so you can really see. Go back to my radial filter, turn this on, make sure I have it selected. So part of this hill in the background that I had added the graduated filter to make it blue is becoming warm, and I don't want that. So what I can actually do is use a brush, clicking this brush tool, to add or subtract part of this selection. So I want to subtract, so it has the minus or erase option. Let's make the brush size a little bit smaller, feathering a little smaller. Flow will increase. Something like that. Now, if I brush over here, you can see that I can get rid of some of that selection. Now, I might have to go in and make my size really small so I'm not selecting some of these houses up above. But say I go through here looking pretty good, and then I go, whoops, I got some of that tree. We can just click that plus sign, and now this is sort of an add brush that allows us to add, if I make it really small, back some area. So you can get pretty precise. You can also just use the option key to switch from the plus to the minus. So holding down the option key gets me my option brush, so I can just quickly move around. Now this is just sort of a workflow thing. I'm just using this brush, but now I've gone through this whole area, but I want to move the photo to the left or right. Just switch over to the hand by pressing the space bar, click and drag. Now I can go back here, option to get my erase brush, erase all this. So now the background isn't being adjusted by this radial adjustment. Cool, right? So now let's zoom out all the way, see what it actually looks like, turn off our mask, and now that probably looks a little bit more natural. All right, so there's one other option, and that's this range mask, and you have that both for your graduated and your radial filters. Let's go turn on our overlay, go back to edit, and then let's delete this for now because I just want to have my graduated filter. So see how we have this graduated filter, it's selecting everything. What if we only want to pick a specific color or luminance to adjust? What we can do, let's turn off this mask. What we can do is turn on the range mask for color or luminance. So if I do by color, then what I can do is pick a specific color in this image to edit. So click this eyedropper, then click in my image to these mountains, for example. Now, let me reset these settings so we're not having any adjustments done yet. So what it's done is selected the original color of these mountains, the gray. If I turn on my mask, you can see that it's more or less selected the mountains without the sky, which is what I want. If I just want the sky, then I would click the eyedropper and click in the sky and see how it adjusts the sky now. So now I can go in here, I can make the sky really warm. Let's turn off my mask so we can see. Say we want the sky to have that dehaze, but we don't want the mountains in front of it to have the dehaze. You can make it brighter, make it darker, or whatever. And now that adjustment is just being made to the sky. If I want to go in and sort of adjust how much is selected or not, I can choose this color range. Decreasing it gets very precise with the colors that are selected. Increasing it selects more. It did a pretty good job when it was at 50 there. Now, if I want to go in and adjust just the mountains now, what would I have to do? I would actually have to go and create a new graduated filter. So let's go ahead and do that. Reset our settings. Click and drag over our mountains. Actually, let's make this green down here. Turn on the mask so you can see what's selected. Now, with the range mask turned on to color, let's go ahead and pick the blue of the mountains. So now this is cool because it selects some of the blue in these foreground mountains in front that we were selecting before. If we want to get more specific, we can drop down the color range, turn off our mask, and now we can adjust the mountains. Say we want the mountains to be more blue or more purple. Purple Mountains Majesty. That's a American song, if you don't know. Turn on some dehaze and adjust the mountains separate from the background. Now, this is getting a little bit wacky, a little bit unrealistic, but hopefully you can kind of see by now that using the range mask options, you can select specific colors and or brightnesses. So if we take the radial filter, reset all our settings, and then just click and drag around. Let's move this around here. Turn on the mask so we can see that we're selecting the inside. If we turn on our range mask to luminance, what if we just want to select the bright part of this image or the selection? We can take this left side of the luminance range and drag it to the right, so it's just picking the highlights. If we keep this to the left and drag the right side down, we're just selecting the shadows of the selection. And the smoothness will sort of blend it in or make it more harsh if you really want to be particular about what you're selecting. And now what we're doing is adjusting just that selection within this radial filter. So if we want to bring up the shadows of just this selection, we can bring up the shadows with blacks, shadows right there. There it was. Exposure. You know, that doesn't look good. We can create sort of a Halloween effect like so. But you can see that it's just affecting that part of the image now. Again, this might be good if you're shooting a photo portrait, a group shot, and some people are in the shade, some aren't. You got splotches of light in the shade, some fully in the sun. You can make a selection of just the bright parts of people's faces and bring those highlights down, or you could select just the shadows of people's faces and bring them up. It's a great way to be very specific with your selections and adjustments. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial, and we'll see you in the next one.